I'm seeing 3 or 4 grown men potentially grabbing this one, if a West is in front of me, grabbing his arm, and 4 men absolutely yanking on him to get him out the way so that they can get closer.
You're getting towards the gate, and then you feel that presence in your heart.
Yeah.
That obviously that I'm here. Like at the end of the day, Allah called you. And for me, I was just like overwhelmed. I think that's the only word, and I was very, very speechless in that moment.
You could be sat next to richest man on the earth. He's in the exact same cloth as you. Yeah. You could be sat next to the most pious man on the earth right now. He's in the exact same cloth as you.
It was also, why have I been chosen? That's how I felt.
There's a security guard stood on the side of the Kaabah, right on top of the black stone. He is strapped in.
Serious?
He's strapped in case he gets mauled in by the crowd.
Yes, but when I put my ihram on, I felt like a true slave to God at that moment.
Assalamu alaikum everybody, welcome back to the Mountain Path podcast. Thank you guys for all the subscribers. You guys have been absolutely brilliant, and I've noticed every single one of you. We are here today to talk to some fellow humans. They are my cousins, all my first cousins actually, and they have just come back from a pilgrimage. As you can see, can you just reveal what's happened?
I just had a haircut today as well.
As you can see, they're bold because they just did Ummrah. And we're going to talk to them today about how their journey was. I've never been myself. Inshallah, I will one day. But these guys have been for their first time. All of you first time, is that right?
Yeah, first time.
First time for all of them. And let's get straight into the conversation. Guys, I'll leave it to you. You went to Ummrah, Awais.
Yeah,
Umar. Walaikum Assalam. Usman, tell us about the experience, the journey. Who wants to start?
We let Best on it, obviously.
I knew he was going to come.
He's the most experienced out of the three of us.
Yeah, I mean, it's happening again. It's happening again. All the demons are coming back. It's coming back. But honestly, it was amazing. When you're setting off. Yeah. Like when you go on a normal holiday, if you're going like in America, I've traveled around the whole globe. Alhamdulillah, I've had the opportunity, paid for as well.
Alhamdulillah.
When you go on normal holidays, you feel excited, but this time there was a difference. It was of course a spiritual journey, so you feel some kind of a unique feeling when you've watched like Ummrah all your life on TV, knowing like we just watched right now, it was live on TV. Yeah. When you watch videos all your life and knowing you're going there, it was a scary feeling, and I was nervous. So now your turn.
We got to Italy. We was a bit unsure. I was a bit nervous in Italy because I didn't know like the facilities there. Because when you go to Ummrah, as the people who have been, they would know that you have to get into a state of ihram. So I know that Turkey have very good. Istanbul had very good facilities for that, where you'd go. There's a prayer area, a place to get changed for the men and women. Yeah. But Italy was the unknown because it's a complete. We took Wizz Air, bro. So it was a complete different flight. So when we got to Italy, there was a bit of the unknown. Yeah. And alhamdulillah, the Italians, they came through. They had very nice facilities to pray for men and women. Complete different section in the terminal for us. And put our ihram on. When I put the ihram on, that's when it got real. Because once you read your tour de garde in the airport, your intention.
Yeah, it was in the airport.
Yeah.
So you ready?
So once you put your ihram on, you make your niyat. After that, you can't. Hair can't fall out your beard. You can't put perfumes on.
I smell so
you
bad.
Can't smoke. You can't do nothing. Like you're just completely in the state of ihram. So when we put it on, and I was I started to sweat because I thought it's real now. Now it's happening. Everyone there is in ihrams, and that I was sweating. And Usman's there, cool, calm. I was like, Usman, I'm sweating. I had to go to the toilet.
Experienced.
I went to the toilet and I took my ihram off before I made my niyat. Obviously, I took it off and I was sweating, dripping on my body. I don't know what it was. Was it fear, nerves? But then eventually, calmed down, read my namaz, and then I just enjoyed it. Got on the flight. Yeah. Everything calmed down. Once we got near Makkah, Jeddah, the pilot announced that we're arriving at the Miqat point, and to make your basically dua. And after that,
So you make dua on the plane.
You
Yeah,
make a
that's
dua on
correct.
the
Yeah,
plane.
yeah, on the
And
plane.
once you reach the miqat point,
Yeah.
basically you have to be in the state of ihram. So we could have put our ihram on the plane, but because of the technique, it's a lot easier to just do it in Italy when there's space. So we could have actually made our intention on the plane, because it's before you reach the miqat point, which is the point of where you must make intention. Otherwise, there's a penalty. If you're going for Umrah and you've not made your intention by that point, there's a penalty that you have to give, basically. I don't know if that's a certain amount of qurbani you have to give, certain amount of kg of weight of meat. But anyway, I've gone on a tangent. But yeah, I was really nervous at the start. Very nervous, to the point where I was sweating profusely. And
What a word!
yeah, profusely
That was
sweating.
good.
But alhamdulillah, once we got near there, calmed down, and we just take it to Osman.
Okay.
Yeah, so obviously Usman and Umar, they travelled together. And Awais
I travel with the group.
He went with the
the
group.
local mosque.
So who did you go with again? Medina
Medina
Mosque, which is the
Masjid, yeah.
Sheffield local mosque.
Yeah.
Usman and Umar is basically the echo of the same story, but it was a bit different for you, Usman. What do you think, Usman, actor?
Obviously, almost covered most of the bases, as he always does. No, but for me personally, I would say, like, my experience, I was very apprehensive prior.
Yeah.
Of course, as you've just alluded to, Avez went with the mosque, so his was very planned. Of course, you know, it was extremely structured. Of course, you know, the mosque that was taking him was extremely experienced in these sort of pilgrimages, so to speak. So me and Umar was somewhat, you know, doing a lot of the research on our own accord. Yeah. We were doing a lot of, you know, obviously reading and stuff prior to going, because it was just me and Umar. So we were basically doing it on our own back, essentially. So any mistakes or so forth, like, we were open to making mistakes, because, you know, we haven't got Hafiz with us. So for me, I was extremely apprehensive. We initially made the intention to go in December. And you know, standard Umar, he delayed it up until late January. But basically the whole of January, I didn't think we were going, because we just hadn't spoken about it since. And then like the last week of January, Umar just said, should we still go? And then we basically booked it with like 10 days prior. So extremely apprehensive. I felt underprepared going into it, because I felt like, you know, I didn't really prepare much in January, because my heart felt like I wasn't going.
Yeah.
But obviously, like, you know, I'm sure we'll get into when you get the opportunity to go to Ummrah.
I don't know if you two felt like this, but when I put my ihram on, I felt like a true slave to God at that moment.
That's what you
if
meant
that
to
makes
feel
sense.
like.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that's the
felt
whole
it
point.
straight away when I put my. I was like, "Whoa, it's pushed me back a bit. Like this is
Like,
reality."
It's
In that
humbling,
room,
because
yeah.
if you deep it, you're wearing a cloth.
Nothing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And nothing else.
underneath as well.
That is the humbling
the whole
clothes.
point of the
You stripped to
ihram,
your bare layers.
the whole point
Yeah.
of it is to differentiate from, like, make everyone on a level playing field.
Yeah.
We're level.
Yeah.
You could be sat next to richest man on the earth. He's in the exact same cloth as you.
Yeah, it's
You
true.
could be
Yeah.
sat next to the most pious man on the earth right now. He's in the exact same cloth as you. Everyone is equal. It's to show that we are all one. We're equals, and you know, like, it's basic. I don't know.
It gave me so much chills when our Hafiz named Sadakat, he stood up and started doing Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik, and then everyone was reciting it in the plane as well, out loud as well. Proper chills worthy.
By the time, just fast forward a little bit, but by the time we had finished our Umrah, and by the time we had finished everything, including travel, it had been 32 hours since we had
No
slept.
sleep. Yeah, I didn't sleep the previous day as
sleep.
well. Like 2-3 hours. I couldn't
Literally.
sleep.
We did it. We set off at 12 o'clock at night, the night before, and the next night
we
at
started Umrah
4
at 1 a.m., I
a.m.
think.
we finished Osman.
I couldn't sleep. I don't know about you. I woke up. I just checked the time. It was at 2:30, and I said to myself out loud, like, I'm gonna be seeing the Kaabah tomorrow. Like, do you know how crazy that is?
Yeah.
It's
But you do get energy though, because like for us, like I remember when on our way, obviously when we initially got off the flight, we were like, I know you in particular was exhausted. I was quite tired as well.
Yeah.
And obviously when you're obviously making a journey, then you start reading Labbaik Allahumma when you enter obviously Makkah as well, within like a periphery of Makkah. And then once you get to your hotel, you drop everything off, and I just got like a extra lease of life, because I knew that we made the intention.
As you
finishing
get
the Kaabah.
closer to the
Yeah,
Kaabah.
exactly. So although we're saying that we will wait for such a long period of time, you don't feel it.
Yeah.
Obviously, potentially afterwards, you probably crash or whatever it may be. But within that moment, when you're in that state, you just, you've got like one focus, one intention. So
It's just to make sure everything goes smoothly for
Exactly.
what you came for.
Yeah. So
So
what?
now-
Now I want to know about when you first saw the Kaabah. That's what I want to know. You start.
So
We're not going to
it took about from our hotel. It took about, I think, how long did it take? 10 minutes to walk. And then while you're walking, you're doing Labbaik Allah. And I was
towards the Kaabah.
Yeah, towards the Kaabah.
All the way there.
Yeah, towards the main gate.
Jeddah,
Yeah.
you'd technically be
So
reading
towards
it.
the main gate, which was gate 79 or something, I don't remember,
79.
79, and I could see glimpses of it, but they say it's best to keep your head down. So when you're closer, and then it's best to make the dua. When you get a whole view, you don't want to, as Hafiz said, you don't want to spoil it, like a surprise until once you get close. So you're walking closer to it, and it's just like, it's like something's, I don't know how to describe it. It's like it's pushing you towards it. I don't know if that makes any sense. But then the more I got closer, the more nervous you get, knowing that this is why we're here. Like, you know, Muslims are, this is where everything started from, and you're seconds away from it.
And as a child,
I know.
That's
all we know that we see on TV and everything.
Every morning, every Ramadan.
You're minutes away from it, and then
TV.
from hours to minutes, and now you're seconds away from it. And I'm looking up slowly, and I can see little glimpses, because it's hard to keep your head down. Little glimpses, and I see the gold. And then once we get the whole view, I look up, and it was, of course, it's emotional for everyone when you see something like that. And I think I explained to many people before, the black of it is, we know is black in color. The black is shining, like it's a black color, is a unique black color. I don't know if you, and the gold is very unique as well. Like not a normal gold, even you see like normal gold that you buy in shops or whatever, is a different kind of gold. So that was my experience of what.
My experience, the exact same. We were walking towards the Kaabah, keeping our head down. Everyone has been gate 79. Keep your head down.
You're 79 as well?
79 is one of them. It's the main one to get to the Haram.
Okay.
To get to the Kaabah.
Yeah.
There's two entrances. One which is on the other side, then 79's the main one. That's for Ihram state only.
Yeah,
so only if you have an Ihram on, you can get through that.
Yeah.
So we're walking and keeping my head down, and then you kind of come out into like, so like let's say the dugout in a football pitch.
Yeah.
When you come out, so you can see, if you got your head down, you'll be able to see you into the stadium now.
Yeah.
So now I've got my head down now, I know it's opening up, so I know it's there. And I've deliberately kept my head down because I wanted to see it at full glance first.
Yeah.
Full glance. So I've looked up, and honestly, it is probably the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And the thing, you can't explain it, you know, like by words.
So big as well.
It is, number one, a lot bigger than I expected. A lot bigger. I thought it was a lot smaller than this. It was a lot bigger. Like Aware said, the black cloth, it's not like a normal black. It's like jet black. Really dark black. And the gold in it, the gold writing, obviously with the kalma and everything on it, that goes around the Kaabah, that just stands out because it's such a dark jet black, and it's such an imposing figure when you stood there, and it's so beautiful. Like I kept saying it, even like after, I was like, you know how we got Snapchat filters and all that. I says, it looks, when you look at the Kaabah, I don't know if it's the lighting around the Kaabah or what, but it just looks like it's got a real life filter on it. It's so pretty when you look at it that you think, whoa, like you don't expect it to be like that, but it is beautiful. That's the first thing I thought. I was like, whoa, that's pretty. That's what I thought. That was my first impression of the Kaabah. Like, that's stunning. But yeah, that's really all I can say about the Kaabah. Seen it first time.
Osman?
Yeah, I mean, obviously both the guys have pretty much described it the way I would, but I think for me, obviously going towards the Kaabah was, you know, just even before we initially got into, obviously in the state of Ihram, so to speak, really Labbaik. I think on the walk down towards it, just prior to getting into the gate, obviously, as you mentioned, I was getting really emotional. I think for me, that was like, you know, this is actually happening, because when you get dropped, we were a bit further away, so we got dropped off in a taxi. So when you get dropped off, and then when you first step out the taxi, and it's just a sea of people with their ihrams on. So bear in mind, we got there at like 2 a.m, so we're not expecting to be like ridiculously busy.
Fully dark outside, pitch black.
Yeah, it's 1 a.m. It's 1 a.m, I think it was actually.
1 a.m. bang on.
There's bare lighting in it.
It's lit up.
They don't feel like it's dark.
The lighting's phenomenal, but it was just a sea of people, and it was like, wow, this is real. Obviously, like for us, there's just two of us, obviously both cousins, of course, but you know, you're making that way down, you really love Baker, of course, and then you're getting towards the gate, and then you feel that presence in your heart. That obviously, like, you know, I'm here Like at the end of the day, Allah called you. Like obviously, you know, as I said at the start, you know, in my heart, I didn't think I was going the whole of January up until we had that convo at the end of the month. So then I thought, you know, it's not going to happen basically. And the fact that, you know, Allah, you know, basically opened all these sort of avenues for me to make sure I got there.
Yeah.
And then I knew that this was real. We're finally there. We've got Ihram, and we're just about to make that sort of, you know, walk towards the Kaabah.
So when you get to the Kaabah, like, I don't know about you guys, but
What are you wearing? Go on.
So when you get to the Kaabah, not the Kaabah, the Haram, the buildings around it, everyone who's been, I'm a big guy, bro. Yeah, I felt tiny there. It is vastness.
And the clock tower is so huge as well.
It's massive.
It's humongous.
It is vast, and the scale of stuff around it. I don't know if anyone who's been watching felt the same way, but you feel so small there, so small. You feel like a little droplet because there's these mega structures around you, and I don't know if it's like physics didn't work there. I'll be serious. When you go, inshallah, we're going to go in October. But when you go and you see it, it's like the physics of Saudi Arabia are different to the rest of the world, just purely based maybe through Allah, so that there's over 3 million people going at Hajj at one time. And it, to maybe accommodate people, because it looks grand and it looks, I've been Dubai, I've been Qatar, I've seen big buildings. But those buildings near the Haram and just anywhere in Makkah, they're intimidating. They could be normal, but when we got to our hotel, I was like, oh, it's massive. You just look up and you think, what? We didn't expect that. I thought it was a normal 4-story building. But just the vastness of all the buildings, it's intimidating, bro. And it intimidated me.
Did you feel the same?
Yeah, I mean, like for me personally, obviously, like I said, what I was going to say earlier, when I first walked into the Kaabah, I felt that overwhelmingness that you alluded to. Look, for me personally, look, at the end of the day, everyone's experience is different. As you said, you got emotional, so you felt a different way. For me, it was more so, you know, why have I been chosen? That's how I felt. Yeah. Because that was my biggest thing, like going, obviously accepting this invitation from Allah, essentially, was because I'm trying to find myself in an Islamic sense, like I'm on my journey in spirituality. Yeah. Obviously, you know, we were very blessed. We were born Muslim. Yeah. But a lot of us lose our way. We're not Muslim. Yeah. We're Muslim by name. We're not Muslim by practice. Yeah. And I felt I was somewhat in that category where, you know, I wasn't practicing. I wasn't openly seeking knowledge, Islamic knowledge. And my purpose was maybe different to yours. Obviously, I couldn't speak on that. But my purpose was, why have I been selected? You know, what was the reason for Allah to pick me?
Maybe it's opening, innit? It's an opening.
No, absolutely. And obviously I understand that reason now, which I'm sure we'll get into towards the end of the podcast. But when I stood in front of the Kaabah for the first time, it was that overwhelming, like, why me, basically? You know, you know, there's a lot of pious people in the world. You know, a lot of people could have got selected, but you selected me. So, like that feeling was unexplainable. You know, at the end of the day, like, you've grown up, obviously, you know, facing the Kaabah our whole life, and we were finally there. It was weird, to an extent, like you're where you've always sort of belonged, essentially. That's true. As a Muslim, so you know you had that feeling of, you know, obviously homeliness, like, you know, this is where we belong. Obviously, this is where we've always, you know, faced to read namaz and so forth. So that was my feeling. It was very overwhelming initially, so that's why I felt.
Doing the tawaf, the black stone is in your sight.
Right, my sight. Yeah. And
the black stone, obviously, we know it's a special stone from heaven, and we know that people actually can go a bit crazy when they see it in trying to get towards the stone, because it's very, you know, compact. Yeah. And so, Wes, tell us, was it busy?
I mean, it was hectic. It was, like I said, I had no intentions to kind of touch it or whatever, because I know, due to my injury that happened on your birthday, I was scared. I was scared because I've heard many people have apparently almost died or whatever, like scary stories near the Blackstone. So we easily barged past people and touched the Kaabah first. So it was like, obviously they go around and you can't just simply ask them, can you move aside, please? You have to kind of barge people to kind of move forward, because people are it's just hectic there. And once we touched the Kaabah, the Blackstone was literally on that side, right on our right side. And then we were just getting closer. It took a bit of time to go, but then once we were getting closer and closer and closer, it was scary. Like, honestly, that night I didn't sleep because the faces are like, you see the Joker in the movie, their eyes are wide open, their teeth are basically like vampires, and they're literally like, if you're pretend your head's in the black stone right now, they'll grip you like that from the back. Even women as well, they're gripping women, yanking them like that.
Wow.
Yanking them like that. Yeah, so that's what
serious?
Yeah, so that's why that's why I did not want to put my head in there, so I put my whole hand in there and just rubbed it around with my hand. And then it was nice touching it, but when I tried to get out, I was stuck. They did not let me escape. They were all cramped. Like, if I'd fallen down, I think it would have been game over for me. Yeah. So I had to, in order for me to get out, I had to bang and like fully barge him, and I had to do that to women, men, kids.
Women.
Yeah, I got no choice, because I had no. If I didn't use my strength, I was stuck. I would have like fell down, or I don't know what could have happened. So it's very dangerous to risk yourself to the black stone. Which,
my God, what do you want to say?
My turn. What I saw at the black stone was not Islam. That was not Islam. I'll be honest with you. That honestly made me kind of sick. It ruined, in a sense, my Ummrah.
Same.
Looking at it. We are in the holiest place known to Muslims.
Known to man.
We are known to man. Exactly. It is the most worshipped place or point in the world. And we are there for peace. We're there for worshipping. We're there with sincerity and purity. And to see the situation near the black stone, it really put me off and really distracted my Ummrah when every time I went past it, because it was absolute mayhem. And I saw people physically, like, let's say Awais is near the black stone. I'm seeing 3 or 4 grown men potentially grabbing this one, if Awais is in front of me, grabbing his arm, and 4 men absolutely yanking on him to get him out the way so that they can get closer. You are inflicting, you are in like real grown ass men, real strong men, like pulling one man's limb. You could break someone's shoulder. You could permanently cause nerve damages and people have hurt themselves there. I saw women being absolutely ragged. I saw a woman's hijab come off. That's not Islam. That's a ghair mahram for you, number one. That's ghair mahram. You should be nowhere near her in a sense. And instead you are pushing her about. Her hijab has come off. So you're taking away, in front of Allah's house, you've taken away her veil.
Yeah.
You're telling me that's Islam. No, that isn't.
Most people, from what I heard, from what I've been told, they all come from villages with no knowledge or no nothing. And when they see something like this for the first time, they do not know how to react to anything.
That's so sad. I never thought of that, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is that. There's a lot of people who are untravelled. Alhamdulillah, we're travelled. We live in a part of the world as well where you're taught mannerism from day one. Like, please and thank you. Stand in a queue. Stand orderly. We're told mannerism. But there are a lot of people who are from very remote places of the world who have never left a village, and to come to Ummrah, they've saved their whole lives. They've never been out their village even.
Yeah.
And they've never been out their town. And for them to come here, they're acting accordingly. But in retrospect to that, you still have to remember your religion. You can't do what I saw. You can't do that. And I do blame the Saudis, because people will get to the Rawda later, but the people who have been Saudi, the Rawda is a piece of heaven on earth. It's in Medina. But they've got a system for that. There's an app. You book it. No one who doesn't have a booking is not allowed to go to the Rawda. So it's same with the Black Stone. They could very easily corner it off, have a booking system, exact same as the Rawda. It's just one kiss, move on. You could get 200 people a minute if you want, kissing it, and it could flow smoothly, where there's men, women able to safely, respectively, in Islamic accordance, where they're not getting beaten up, where women's hijabs are not coming off in the holiest site in Islam, and it's done with proper respect and adab.
Yeah.
There has to be something, because when you go, people who have been, there's a security guard stood on the side of the Kaabah, right on top of the black stone. He is strapped in.
Serious?
He's strapped in in case he gets mauled in by the crowd.
Wow.
That's not how it should be. Every time we went,
Well, like, what do you mean strapped in?
He's strapped in. He's got straps on his shoulders,
No choice.
holding him in place.
Hold him into the Kaabah.
They're connected to the Kaabah because
Did you see the same thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
He'll probably add to it, but it's not an environment where, number one, you can take women and children anywhere near it.
Yeah.
And that's not fair. They have an equal right to be able to touch the black stone, same as the Rauda. They have their times, same as when they give salam to the Prophet. They have appropriate times after Isha namaz. So the black stone is very easily a place which is we all want to touch and kiss and whatever. We want to have an experience to go and kiss it, but have a system, because that really is off-putting. And when you're walking past it, you're meant to be in ibadah. When you're doing the tawafs, you have to be in ibadah. You have to be making dua. You have to be reading Quran or doing anything while you're going around the Kaabah. But when you get to the black stone, my focus was on the black stone, as in what was going on there. And I had to calculate, like, because we were kind of near it, I kept having to calculate, are we going to get mauled into the crowd? Because I was leading the way from me, Usman. And I was like, are we going to get dragged into that? Are we safe?
Yeah.
Are we safe in front of the Kaabah? That should not be the case.
I just think that's ridiculous that you're in that situation. I mean, for me personally, going around and doing tawaf, it's about having sabr. I'm sure most people would expect to get pushed about. I'm sure most people are going to be in a situation where, you're gonna have contact with other people, be it accidentally or whatever, delivery, so to speak. But in that situation where the black stone is, it just seems like it's completely uncalled for and not necessary.
Yeah.
The aggression is just ridiculous. I mean, it's just, there was little moments where we were going around and we were just literally focusing on people's faces, and the anger that you see on people's faces within that vicinity is quite scary. It's quite alarming that there was one guy, I remember specifically, I think he had just touched the Kaabah. He was very close to Blackstone. And he was trying to get back out. Simon Vas explained his experience, but the thing was, he was off the ground, so he was almost like he was floating on people's heads.
Wow.
And his mates were physically, like 3 of them were physically pulling him, so he was above people's heads. It was a bit weird. It's almost like he'd been lifted up, and people were like pulling him away, like physically by his arm to get him off, like over people's heads. He must have got lifted essentially because there's so much animosity within that area. And it's just really surprising, because at the end of the day, you're only there for one reason really, which is obviously to save your Ummrah firstly, but secondly, do it to the best of your ability. And I just don't understand how, you can go from that situation where you've just had that over aggression and so forth, and then you go back to doing tawaf in a manner which that is, fitting for your purpose, which is finding peace and obviously doing it the right way.
That man is not befitting in it for the place you're at.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, at the end of the day, the way I saw it was, I was personally going around with a smile on my face, because obviously you're going to get a nudge, you're going to get X, Y, and Z, but everything's a tester. Like everything, even if you're not at the Kaabah, like every little detail is a test of your patience, a test of your mind, to keep focus. And just being around that place, obviously I feel like there's a lot of tests in general, but for me, that situation, as Umar's mentioned, that they could quite easily have a system to allow people to have that, that privilege of obviously touching.
But you say that, but how can you make a system there? Because
the same as the Rauda.
Yeah, but the Rauda's like a building, innit?
I mean,
they can make a queue system.
They could even make they could even potentially, just throwing out, obviously I don't know it, but they could potentially make a tunnel underneath where people do tawaf and the steps leading up to the stone. I don't know, but they could work something out. But that
it just would never happen.
But the way that is the situation at the moment, as Umar's mentioned rightfully, like people like myself, I would never put myself in a situation where I even attempt to try and touch it. It basically completely exiles, elder people or people like women in particular, or just the kids or whatever. It completely exiles them. They're never gonna have opportunity to touch it.
So I got a question for people who've not been. So what is Ummrah? So you've done the 7th tawaf.
Yes.
Yeah. Then what?
2 rakat nafal.
Yeah.
Drink Zamzam water.
Yeah.
Then
go to Safa Marwa.
Then
shave your head.
Yeah, Safa Marwa was.
So you did 2
yeah.
rakats after your Safa
Safa
Marwa.
Marwa was the hardest thing I've done. I didn't expect it. From what I read on Google, apparently it was like 30 to 45 minutes or something. But was it 30 to 45 minutes?
I mean,
don't know.
It depends on the pace you go.
Yeah, it was so
pace.
hard. It's just,
And how busy it is.
I know, it just wasn't ending because you've done 7 tawafs already, which it was okay. You do feel tired, but then after doing Safa Marwa,
When you see the length of Safa Marwa, it kind of brings you down. It's a humbling experience.
Very humbling.
It's meant, I think that's what it's
It
meant
will
to
do
be.
though, yeah.
I think it's meant to ground you and beat you to the ground. That's why they say when you come out, your sins are forgiven. You're like a brand new baby. Hence the shaving of the head is to mimic a brand new baby. So like, I think when it's to really beat you to the
I
ground.
was even
'cause-
thank for even having slippers after
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
no,
That's very
really, it's a
thankful,
blessing.
Yeah.
As soon as you come out and you finish, you come out on
my
Marwa
God, that feeling
and
of putting your
Marwa
slipper
side,
back on.
and then you go out and straight away the security guys are going Haji, like go read your cards, whatever.
Yeah, true,
You two the cards, like pray here, and like you just put your slippers on, and bro,
Heavenly.
It was
we
so nice.
we just got slippers, like normal slippers, and they felt like I was floating because your
felt so
feet are
good.
throbbing.
Wow.
You're jet lagged. You're tired. You're sweating. You're hungry. You're exhausted. You're physically exhausted. Mentally exhausted. Your feet are aching. Osman's feet are cut open. He's got really
Yeah,
weak feet.
it was as
His
well.
feet are cut open, blistered.
Blisters galore.
Your knees are like you're just physically tired.
Wow.
And you go out and you pray, and then you go out and you pray on absolute marble. So you're knackered and your knees are getting bashed on marble basically.
Wow.
And then after that, you go shave your hair. Then you shave your hair, and by that time it's near Fajr, pray Fajr. Then you go, and then you have to be up in about 4 hours for Zohar.
Yeah, so
So that first day is really
That first day is very,
battering,
very difficult.
very demanding on your body. And
Okay, so that's it. Makkah, that's Makkah for you, innit?
yeah.
then you do your ziyarats, where you go see the different sites in Makkah.
Yeah, we went
Like-
Mount Hira.
Mount Hira.
That was a hard climb.
You went then? Did
yeah,
you guys
yeah.
didn't
Yeah,
go?
we didn't.
No,
We
it
did
was,
the ziyarat.
it was very dangerous as well. I don't know how some aunties ended up getting there. It was like this Peak District, but 10 times worse because obviously how the rocks were back in the days, they're so slanted.
And you went in the dark?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
how
in
could
the
you
dark.
see?
How did I even see again? I'm trying to think. Flashlights, yeah.
Wow.
Flashlights.
Wow.
And the rocks are slanted, like diagonal, and obviously there's a hill down, so if you fall, you fall in it.
Wow.
So it's really bad, but no, it's tiring because there's about 100 odd steps. Like you can't even count how many steps, and the hill is so steep as well. You guys saw it, innit?
It is
Yeah.
literally nearly vertical.
Yeah,
It's
it's very
really
steep. I
steep.
would say very
Is it
hard.
stairs? Is it stairs?
The stairs and the stairs were harder than the steep. The feeling knowing that he was there, and to know you're there praying to Nafal as
Yeah.
well inside that cave, it was an unbelievable moment. But obviously, once again, it got crowded with loads of people, and like I said, the rocks are so slanted as it is, and there was about 20-30 people there in a small
Wow.
kind of area. So it's like from, I'd say, obviously they can't see, just to give it to you, from there to basically there's about 30 people.
Wow.
And yeah, so everyone's pushing and shoving, and we tried to pray out to Nafal, and they're trying to basically grip us from there as well, and like telling us to get out there as well.
Wow.
Just random people.
So how
as
did you
well.
get down the same route they came up?
Same route, but it was just hard because non-stop stairs, man. It was a killer. But yeah, the cave is actually very small.
How long is the hike? It's a hike, innit, really?
It was an hour up and an hour down for us.
That's not too bad.
Yeah.
You know, because we've been sat in England our whole lives, told about all these stuff. You've read these stories when you're young, but when you get to see it, and you're like, damn, this is real.
Yeah.
This happened. It's right here.
Yeah.
Like that story, the spider story, that's there.
Yeah,
Just
that was so surreal.
The Prophet was camped
So
here.
surreal.
Like Hazrat
got
Ibrahim
emotional on this
saw
one
the
too.
shit. Yeah, Hazrat Ibrahim was here 3 days in a row.
And I was just stood there looking at it. I think Umar was stood behind me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't believe I'm here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, honestly, you have that feeling a lot of times on this journey, like I can't believe it. But that was a really potent moment for me because it's like, the Prophet, peace be upon him, was literally there.
Because I watched the movie as well not long ago as well. What's that movie called?
The Message.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What a
The
movie
Message.
that
Top film.
was.
Amazing
And
film.
then
Unreal
to know,
film.
like you said, you're just there.
Why
You
do I
just,
feel like I've not watched it?
You not seen
oh,
the
it's
Message?
such a good movie, man.
I've probably
I
seen the
must have
Message
seen
about
it.
100
I've
times.
seen it at least.
I must have
at least
seen it
5-6
then.
times.
Huh?
I must have seen it if you've all seen it.
No, you would have known. Trust me,
You
you would have known if
would
you've seen the
known. It's
Message.
very, very
You
good.
gotta watch it.
Okay.
Unreal.
You know,
Message
shall I tell you exactly the feeling you feel when you're there? if for the people who don't know, put on the screen now the definition. You got imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome. Like, you feel like you shouldn't be there. You feel like, why am I here? Who am I? Like, I kept thinking in my head, like you said earlier, the Kaabah. Who am I to be here? Knowing, and especially once we talk about Medina, or is Medina part 2? When you talk about Medina, and there was a ziyarah that we did where we physically, probably, literally, most likely walked in the footsteps of the Prophet. It is imposter syndrome. You have no right to be there at all, like in those places. But I don't know, I guess that's the beauty of it, that Islam, that we're all, we're one.
One thing I enjoyed as well, especially, is, I wish the rest of the world was like that as well, where you could be like, when you're on Ummrah, you could be next to a Shia, you could be a Sufi, you could be Salafi, Hanafi, whatever. Muslims are united as one there, and that's what I love. But imagine if the rest of the world, let's say in England, was like that. How peaceful it would be. You know what I mean?
That's why the Ottomans,
and it was so beautiful there.
Years.
Like, I spoke to many people that were Shias, that were even into Sufis, that were into like different. But they connected so well. Everyone's smiling at each other. I sat next to random people that were from, let's say, Malaysia or even Japanese, and you just have random conversations with them, and they want to have a conversation with you.
What about the New Yorkers we were talking
about? New Yorkers,
3 a.m. at night.
They want to have a conversation. And then when you come into England, like, obviously we get to that the way back later. When you get back here and you see people, no one's happy, the reality happens, bills and all that. It's just...
true.
But there's a different vibe. You can't beat the
Medina.
feeling.
Right. Let's go to Medina.
Medina.
The prophet city of Prophet Muhammad.
So obviously we can go on we can talk about Makkah for even another hour. Let's be honest.
We got so much.
Let's just talk about Medina now, because that's the city the Prophet ﷺ migrated to. That is his city. So
it took me 6 hours to get there.
Really?
Yeah, I'm coach.
So Usman, you want to start,
I want to start because the verse's intro was absolutely disgraceful.
His first concern was 6 hours.
I thought, bro, honest to God, I'm smiling.
How long did it take you, sorry?
About 4. But I'm smiling thinking about it. The Prophet City, oh my God. Honest to God, like, just before we even got there, the whole journey, I was like, I can't wait to go to Prophet City. Like, peace be upon him, of course. Like, on the way there, it was beautiful. The view, like the whole journey was beautiful. Like, for me personally, I was just focusing on what we're doing. At the end of the day, like, this is the greatest person of mankind. The person that we've always tried to follow their footsteps. Inshallah. But I remember specifically, I think it was like 3 hours into the journey, and then we knew we was on the periphery of the Prophet's city, peace be upon him. And then we're driving towards it, the sun's setting. Obviously, alhamdulillah, it's almost Maghrib time. And then all of a sudden it says at the top, sign, Medina. And then you drive in and it says, welcome to Medina. And then you see the Prophet's mosque on the side, like a picture of it. Yeah. And I thought, wow, we've made it. We've made it finally to the Prophet's city. And for me personally, I don't think I'll ever on earth be able to replicate the feeling that I felt in that city. It's just the peace. Just even now thinking about it, it's just different. Honestly, you can't.
My dad says the same thing, because my dad went years ago.
Even when we just entered, what you feel in your heart. Even now, I'm getting emotional thinking about it. Honest to God, like, just
we both cried in the car.
I got more.
As we entered,
I was starting to cry. Like, I was getting so emotional.
Just entering,
because it's just
unbelievable.
You can't explain the feeling. When you go there, you'll understand. But obviously, we've experienced the whole thing, so maybe our feelings are more enriched by the experience of what we had there. But even the journey there was so beautiful, and obviously getting there itself, it's just a different, as Umar keeps using the word sakoon, but the peace that you feel is unmatched. Every single person that you see is happy.
Sheikh Ibrahim, one sheikh that I go to on Sundays, mashallah, he's amazing. I love him, and he taught me a lot. He always says that yes, you went to Medina, you saw the Prophet ﷺ city, but that feeling, and look at the feelings we've had, and let's be honest, we're common people. We've not not studied our deen to the best of our abilities. Let's be honest, and we're trying. We're going to be, inshallah, plan to try and enhance our knowledge. Inshallah. But he said, if you first of all, you have to love the Prophet more than you love your son, your mum, your dad, and as talk is cheap. We can say on our tongue we love the Prophet ﷺ, but our heart doesn't lie. We know
of
that
course.
we can say it, but in order to love the Prophet, you have to first study him, his whole seerah, his life from his birth to his death. Study his all these journeys he went on, study all his states, different emotions he went through, all that stuff. So can you imagine having all of that knowledge on him and then visiting Medina? The feeling that you had, obviously amazing as it was, but can you imagine having that knowledge? It'll be enhanced tenfold. Can you imagine?
Absolutely.
Tenfold, because then you know who he is as well.
Definitely.
Not saying you don't. We know who the Prophet ﷺ is, but there's so much more we can know.
Yeah,
Of course. Do you know what I mean?
We're novices in knowledge.
Yeah. We're the common layman people.
We're rookies when it comes to it.
Of
But
course.
Definitely.
like I think that's the beauty of Medina. That anyone could go and they'd feel attached. Your heart is at peace there.
And you know what? That's a good thing you said as well. Another thing Sheikh Ibrahim said last week, when the Prophet ﷺ first went to Medina, every single tribe rejected them. Just Medina was the welcoming place. So it is a welcoming. And when
you
he actually
definitely notice it.
it is. And when he went in and they were singing, they were singing that for the Prophet ﷺ. With the drums and can you imagine just being there? And I'm not joking, you know that scene on the message of the film.
I watched it.
Unreal, that scene.
Yeah,
I know we're about now.
So can you imagine?
To the floor.
Can you imagine like the actual real? You know.
Yeah.
Medina. I said it when I came back. Medina stole my heart. Medina stole my heart.
100%.
I have never in my entire existence on this 25 years of planet, no 26 actually, have ever felt peace and sukoon that I felt in Medina. That was honestly unbelievable. Like your heart, it feels like it's brand new.
Yeah.
It felt like it was pure, clean, soft.
Yeah.
Like I felt rejuvenated. And it's we're struggling to find the words.
I remember I spent 10 hours maybe. Just 10 hours in the mosque, just sat in the mosque on my own. And honestly, every time I left the mosque, I got upset.
Agreed.
Even after 10 hours, I sat there. The only time I left the mosque was to get food. And I would literally eat the food as quick as I can, so I can sit on the carpet and just sit there. Don't even do anything. Sit there, read my tasbih, just sit there, just soaking it in. Trying my best to practice my namaz, read whatever it may be. Just be in the vicinity of the mosque. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about Medina. You crave wanting to worship, like you crave wanting to be there, you crave wanting to be in the mosque.
You hear birds chirping in the mosque as well.
And I think that's like the biggest thing. Like obviously it's hard to describe the feeling until you go there yourself, but like it has this hold on you. And when you leave, even when I was leaving to go back to sleep, and I would say to Umar, I don't feel like I've done enough.
Yeah,
I kept saying that a lot. I feel guilty. Like I feel like I feel guilty because I've left, and Umar's like, you've literally been sat there.
I said,
10
Usman,
hours.
literally, we had this conversation. I was like,
hours.
Usman, we've read every namaz on time.
We've read every namaz.
We've stayed sat at the mosque. It is now 2 a.m. What more can you possibly want?
But you just want to keep doing more.
Do you know the thing?
I got a question. You know they say Mecca doesn't sleep. What about Medina then?
Medina just sleep. Medina sleeps. Medina sleeps.
Makkah is too busy compared to
Makkah's
Medina,
unbelievable.
Makkah does not
Makkah's
sleep.
unbelievable.
Yeah,
It does not sleep. That is as busy as it is 4 a.m. as it is 4 p.m.
I never wanted to
It is
sleep. I never
unbelievable.
wanted to sleep either. I was having 2-3 hours of sleep, but I wanted that if I could have no sleep and it would keep me awake with energy, I would take no sleep at all, because when I'd sleep, I'd feel depressed, like what Usman just said. I was like, I'm not doing enough. I want to spend more time around there in the mosque. I just wanted to keep being around.
But
that
we
kind
tend
of
to forget that, in Medina, like you that feeling is there and very heavy, because you need to remember that no matter where you're kind of praying in the masjid, we're technically in the big hall, Masjid Nabi, you're only within, depending on if you're in the really far end, you're always within 100 meters if you're right at the far end of Prophet Muhammad. You're not far. You're not far.
So what about now? When you go give salam to Prophet ﷺ's grave.
So we did it just 20 minutes before Fajr, and had a 2-3 hour sleep, and it was overwhelming knowing that it's like the feeling of Kaabah. You've been wanting this your whole life or whatever. Now you're footsteps away from Prophet ﷺ's Can you say grave as well or tomb?
Tomb.
Grave.
Grave
and tomb, innit?
Yeah.
It's same thing.
But he said grave. So.
Yeah, so you walk in there, it's nice and peaceful Fajr time, birds are chirping and everything.
Yeah.
It was such a peaceful vibe. So now once you get closer and closer, you get past the gate. And you get closer and closer, and it still didn't hit me until you get to this room. It's a massive room. And because I've seen it on YouTube clips and everything before. I'm probably like, I'd say 10 seconds away from it. And while I'm getting closer and closer, I feel humbled, like my head's down. I just feel, as I said to you on WhatsApp, I felt shy. I felt very shy.
That was a beautiful word, I think.
I know. I just felt very humbled at that moment, knowing that how am I, like when you describe like I'm just a local lad from Sheffield, and of course Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala called me, but how am I seeing this? Like, you know what I mean? What have I done to deserve this? And once you saw the view, it was emotional for everyone and our whole group that we went with. You don't know what to say. You know, you say Assalamu alaikum, of course.
He did one where he FaceTimed me. And he went through and he showed me. And even, I'm not even joking, from FaceTime, I was speechless. I couldn't say anything.
From
FaceTime.
That's what I was
I'm there looking at the gate. I can see it. Because the quality was good for some reason. Is the Wi-Fi good there or something?
No, WhatsApp's terrible.
It's 5G? What are you talking about?
This guy,
WhatsApp video is terrible. FaceTime's really good.
I swear, when this guy's in England and we go live,
it's not that good,
it's poor. But over
it's
there,
5G. I had 5G the whole time.
So anyway, I could see it clearly. I was like, oh my God, I can see it. And then he's there. Even I was just silent. I couldn't say anything. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
What the heck?
It's right there.
I know.
I'll tell you our experience. The first time, like I said, shy. Didn't really know how to feel. It was more confused feeling. Like I didn't feel like it was real. Because when we went, like, there's holes in the door, like the doorways, like 2 holes on each door kind of thing. And normally they're covered, I think, by each other behind it or something. But when we got to the Prophet's, like the middle door, which is the Prophet, peace be upon him, we could see through the holes. So I saw the grave of the Prophet with the chadar over it, right there in front of my face.
It's huge as well.
I'm looking at it. I'm physically seeing it. Like, and I was that kind of caught me off guard. Like, I was like, am I seeing correct? Are my eyes bugging? Like, what? How can I see it? Like, that really caught me off guard. And I kind of I gave my salams and like, I kind of like trotted off. Like, I didn't really, feel too much. Then we went the second time round. When I went the second time round, I don't know what happened the second time round, but the second time round I broke down crying. Broke down crying. Like, I couldn't control myself.
Whoa.
Like, I'm getting closer. I've got the video.
No.
I've actually got the video. You'll hear my audio. That's not my character. Like, in public.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of men, bro. Like, it's full of men. And I saw all men crying.
Did any of you lot feel this? But when you're walking through the gates at the start, it felt like normal. But when you're getting closer, it felt like it's slow-mo.
Exactly.
It felt like it was there. You were there for ages.
It's so weird because you come in like quick.
Yeah.
It's like quick, and then it's like as you get closer, it stops. Like, it's like time slows down. You feel like you're there for ages, but in reality, from start to end, it's probably about 3 minutes. 4 minutes. It's not long. That from start to end, depending on how busy it is. But anyway, the second time, I was coming around and, I got closer and I was giving Salaam alaikum ya Rasulullah, Salaam alaikum ya Rasulullah. And I think the third time I said it because in my head I just kept saying to myself, why am I here? What right do I have? Because I seen, the gap again kind of thing. I was like, the Prophet's right there. Umar's right there. Abu Bakr's right there.
Yeah, I actually went 3 times. So the third time was Umar's second time, which is when he started crying. I was there as well, of course. I think...
Did I cry in front of you?
Yeah.
Show
I
me
don't
the
remember
video, show
that.
the
You was literally crying. You was literally crying and I consoled you.
Oh yeah, you put your arm around
I
me.
hugged you,
No way.
and then you said, "Umar, I swear I can't stop crying."
Yeah.
And then he said, "Oh my god!" They took his glasses off. He was wiping his tears.
Fully.
Yo, it
And-
can't come off. It's deadly.
And then he came up to me and said, "Oh, my eyes swollen."
They were red, man.
No, but it was cute. It was wholesome. It was a very wholesome moment. But I got emotional there as well. That was the one. That was the third time I definitely got emotional. But the first time it was similar to how you said. It was really weird because like the whole way, the long corridor leading up to the Prophet peace be upon him's grave is
Got
very
the video ready.
It's very busy. It's very busy. It's like your shoulder, similar to how it is in Dwarf. Like you can't really move. Like everyone's obviously like clanging around trying to get a view sort of thing. And then as the bit when you just got to the grave where you're almost parallel or adjacent towards it on your left, time just stopped still for me. It was very weird. Obviously you just said that as well, but it basically is that it was really busy, and then it felt like I was the only one there. It was really strange, like, and it doesn't really make sense because obviously, like I said, there was this massive crowd, and obviously I started walking like parallel towards it, obviously giving salam to the Prophet peace be upon him, but it was like nobody else was there. Like, I felt like I was on my own.
Wow.
And it was like silence, and it was like radio silence. It was like, obviously, as we said, time stopped still, but it was more so the fact that I felt like life just paused for a second, and I just took it in. And look, I'm not going to sit here and say I knew exactly what to say or how to feel. The honest truth was I was just speechless. And I remember saying to my brother as well that obviously, of course, he gives salam to the Prophet, peace be upon him, but I couldn't talk. And this is in my head, obviously I'm not speaking out loud. I actually physically couldn't form a sentence the first time because I didn't know what to say, because at the end of the day, who am I to be speaking to the Prophet, peace be upon him? I was called to have this opportunity, and like you said, everything's written before, we even make the intention. Allah's already written this long before we were born, and in that moment you stood right in front of the greatest man to ever walk this earth, and it was very hard to comprehend, really. I mean, I've asked you a beautiful word to say, was shy. For me, I was just like overwhelmed. I think that's the only word, and I was very, very speechless in that moment. Obviously, the second time we went, I got a bit more comfortable. Obviously, I had the ability to speak.
Yeah.
Third time is when Umar got emotional, but third time was very special for me because I actually FaceTimed my whole family.
Yeah.
So, it's a long walk. Obviously, people that have been, you'll understand. So you're just walking in. But I FaceTimed my brother, my sister was sat there, my mum was sat there, my dad was sat there, and my brother's wife was sat there, and obviously my nephew was sat there. So they were all sat in the room. I could see all their faces. Obviously, they couldn't see my face.
Sick. Where did they have the camera? Who held the camera?
Was had the camera for that, my brother.
And you could see all of them.
Yeah, I can see my mum.
Wow.
And then obviously I'm doing the whole thing again. Yeah. Obviously I'm FaceTiming. And this time I got really emotional because my mum started crying straight away. Like, I can see my mum's emotional, as you guys know.
Yeah.
But my mum cries quite a lot in general, like with these kind of things, obviously, mashallah.
Yeah.
But she started crying straight away. My dad's in the room. Obviously my brother's in the room. Obviously my sister and my sister-in-law. So it's quite emotional in general. Obviously I can hear Umar crying as well on my shoulder, essentially. Wow. But not in a bad way. But it was like really, like I really felt it in that moment. Obviously I'm trying to hold it in myself because I don't want to be crying. Like I'm only in FaceTime and stuff for family. But that one was special. Like I'll always hold that deed to my heart because like I was the first person to show it to my mum and my dad in it, and obviously my siblings, etc. But yeah, that was really, really beautiful. Obviously, like I gave a hug to Umar as well afterwards as well.
Right, guys, that's been a podcast with some of the bold brothers about Ummrah. We could have spoke about a lot more, guys. Can you agree?
No. Absolutely.
Yeah,
A lot missed out.
It's hard to describe, like we said. Very powerful as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we could have spoke about a lot more, but time's running out, and it is currently 2 a.m. in the UK. Is it 2 a.m?
It's about 1:30.
Yeah. So, guys, I think that's it, guys. Who wants to sign out?
I think Umar should. Me.
Yeah. Where did you get to it?
You can't even speak, person, man.
No, the whole outro. Do it again.
It's so annoying.
No, wave, so we know.
Yeah, actually,
I can crop it.
in 10 seconds.
I'm gonna crop it out anyway.
Oh, it's near the end anyway.
Yeah. So can you all do an outro, please? With in fact, one word to describe how your experience.
Powerful.
The powerful is actually a good word,
Yeah.
I know, but it's the fact that he didn't. The way the context applied.
Your word. It's hard to use one word, though, isn't it?
One word to describe the whole trip.
Everything.
Enlightening.
Okay.
That's a great word.
Osman, can you top that? Can you top that?
I can't. I'm gonna say.
Please subscribe. You're probably not watching by now because it's 2 hours in. But yeah, subscribe, like, share, and join the path.
Get a drink.